your own management style.
Okay.
Because there's everybody will have their own management style, or they'll have a management style that they, or a leadership style that they prefer using. But in other situations, you need to understand that sometimes you have to adapt your leadership style to other situations, to certain people. And what you've just described is more of a democratic type leadership style, which we'll learn more of when we go through this, and you'll be able to see straight away, oh, that's basically what I've just explained. So effectively, you like to engage your staff, you like to involve them in the decision-making process, you like to perhaps give them the options, right, we've got this task to do, and we can maybe either do it this way or this way, and you let them almost make the decision for you, given their experience and knowledge base, and so it allows you to make a more informed decision.
That's good.
But that's really interesting that you would say that at this point, and it's really good. It's a really good thing that you're able to identify that that's kind of your leadership style, and whereas you'll know yourself, Bruno, that depending on the circumstances, sometimes you might have to change that leadership style slightly.
Yeah.
So if something needs to be done really urgently, for example, if your manager has said, right, your team needs to do this and it needs to be done, right away, then you're probably more likely to change that. You're probably likely to, create a little bit more urgency and dictate to them a little bit more and say, right, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, and I want it done by this time. So you're time managing it effectively as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, happen a lot, especially here, because even yesterday I got a call 2:00 saying that we need to do an urgent clean.
Yeah.
And I said to them to stop what we're doing, and I went there to show what's supposed to do. And it's funny because when we do it, we don't realize that we're doing. Now that you said, I think about some cases that I had to do it, that I had to say, hey, stop what you're doing and go do that, because they have to do it now. So
yeah, that's it. So you'll have all these different leadership styles, and they'll have these special names, but a lot of people don't realize what they are, or how they're operating until, or that they have a name in terms of that. So there's another style of leadership called laissez-faire, which effectively is a very, very relaxed style of leadership. And it's often something that managers use when they've got a team of staff that they trust and that are really knowledgeable and they know what to do. So it can sometimes work the other way, Bruno, as well. For example, if you know that a task needs to be done by like in a week's time, for example, you can say to one of your members of staff whom you trust and you know that they've got good experience and they know how to do the task, make sure you get this done in the next week, but I know that you know how to do it, and I know that you'll get it done, so I'll leave you to get it done however you want. So it's a bit more casual as well. So there's all these different styles of leadership that can be applied, but also as long as we appreciate and you can demonstrate a knowledge of knowing when to use certain leadership styles as well. And that goes for people as well. Like I'm sure you've worked with staff that are really, really easy to get along with. You trust them, they've got good experience, they work really hard. And then there might be other staff that you might have had to have more challenging conversations with.
Yeah.
Where you'll need to change that style. You need to adapt your approach. So that's there is a leadership styles kind of bit of work that we will do on this course that we weren't going to do probably until next month. But the fact that that you brought it up, it seemed like a good opportunity to kind of have a conversation about that.
Good.
Excellent. Okay. So good at decision making.
So put 5, 6, or
5 or 6, I would say. Yeah.
I'm gonna put 5.
Yeah, that's it. You're in a supervisor role. You're in a management role, so you're making decisions all the time.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, next one is how good are you at problem solving?
Well, I try to see every side of the problem and try to fix it as fast as I can, you know. So I would probably say 5 and 6 as well.
Okay,
but
excellent. That's it. Okay, next is how analytical are you? So how much do you look into problems and kind of analyze them and all the solutions available?
Oh, I think to solve the problem, it's the most thing that we need to do. It's analyze the problem. So I think it's easier to analyze than doing the problem solving. So I think it's higher than making the decision and the problem solving, you know?
Yep.
I'm gonna put 6.
Yep, excellent. Okay. So how good is your attention to detail?
Even higher than analyze, because I'm a photographer as well. So
okay,
I'm always looking on details and this kind of things.
Yep.
I'm gonna put 6 as well.
What do you like to photograph, Bruno?
People.
People.
Yeah, I used to work with this in Brazil. I used to take wedding photographs. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice.
Interesting subject.
Especially my daughter now.
Yeah. Oh, how old is your daughter, Bruno?
She just turned 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and my wife's pregnant again. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a little girl who's 3.
Good.
Who's just she's going to be 4 on Saturday.
That's good.
So yeah, so she's 2 is an interesting age.
It is. It's amazing how fast they grow.
How fast they grow and how much they learn as well.
It's one day for another.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is. Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah, it goes quick.
Yeah. Okay. Why my screen stop closing your screen? You know.
Yeah,
I thought I could leave this.
I think it's a Teams problem. I'll have to look online quickly to see if there's a problem with Teams today, but it's not. I've not seen it do this before.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll keep working through.
Yeah.
Okay. How good are you at listening?
I actually prefer listening than talking.
Okay.
So. I think actually is the best way to analyze some problem and then thinking about the solution. So
that's it. Take on board as much information as you can. That allows you to make a more informed decision.
Yeah.
So, how confident do you feel about delivering presentations? So that could be presentations. That could be kind of having a team meeting, for example.
Okay. Yeah, this one I think it's something that I really need to improve myself.
Okay.
Because I'm not that confident when I have a big amount of people and these kind of things.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put 3 on this one just to make sure that we don't forget this point.
Okay, next, how good are your negotiation skills?
I would say like a 5.
A 5, okay.
Yeah. I think this point, it's because of the top one about delivering presentations.
Yeah.
As I don't feel comfortable doing presentations, I think it's hard for me to try to negotiate, you know.
Okay. So do you feel more comfortable in like a one-to-one setting, Bruno, if you're having like a meeting with your staff and like for performance reviews, things like that? Yeah.
Even with my staff, when I have to do meetings, like do bulk stock, I prefer doing one by one.
Yeah.
Even because I think they stay more focused on me than in the other stuff, you know. So
yeah,
I always prefer like this.
Well, that's part of that is understanding people within your team as well, because you'll know there's probably people in your team that are quite responsive, are quite good in a team meeting setting,
Yeah.
And there might be people that you've got in your team that kind of lose focus, or don't pay attention too much, or can kind of start looking around in a meeting and not listening and this kind of thing. So in fact, what you might end up doing is kind of actually saying to people, if anyone has any feedback or we want to go through anything again, then we can do a one-to-one, or come and see me in the next couple of days, we can discuss it. And you'll probably end up asking those people, is there anything you want to talk about, to try and get something back from them?
Yeah.
Just to check that they have listened and they understand what's been said, etc.
And to be honest, that's a thing that happens a lot here, because I have one staff that I start talking and he, flies away.
Yeah.
I have another one that the English is not that good, so I have to say like 3-4 times so they understand.
Yeah.
But if I do it in front of everybody, they're gonna start, okay, I've heard that 3 times already, so why do I need to be here, So
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky. So again, it's what we mentioned earlier. So you really have to adapt your styles. Sometimes communication styles as well.
Yeah.
You'll need to adapt, as you say. If you're working with people that maybe have English as a second language, or whether English isn't particularly good, then you might end up having to write things down for them. So they understand it. So just like leadership styles, communication styles can be really, really important in terms of ensuring your message across. And again, that's part of knowing your staff, their strengths and weaknesses. So by managing them on a one-to-one basis, their performance level will hopefully go up a little bit, which overall the collective means from that means that the standards for the team will go up. Will go up a lot higher if everybody goes up a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's knowing your staff, isn't it? That's getting to know your staff, building with them, getting to know them a little bit more. And this is all part of the course, Bruno.
Okay.
This is all evidence and things that we can talk about. The importance of developing rapport with staff. The more and more we talk to our staff, we know a little bit more about them. We can understand what motivates them. We can understand why they're doing the job that they're doing. We can understand what's going to get the best out of them. So it's all part of understanding team dynamics and building a successful team as well. These are all parts of the course that we're going to cover.
That's good.
Okay, next, so we've got the importance of communication. So how influential or persuasive are you?
Okay, I think it's all about, just like you said, it's different stuff that I have. So I have some stuff that I don't need to be that persuasive.
Yeah.
So I can talk free and they're gonna do what I ask it. They're not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
But every time that I ask, they do it. Even when they ask why we're doing it, I explain and they do it. So I think it's quite good, this one. I'll put 5 as well.
Chat.
Okay. So networking. I think networking, I have the same problem about the one that I said before about delivering presentations.
Okay.
When it's one by one, for me, it's fine. too, but when I got to a big group of people,
Yeah.
get some
Networking. Okay.
stuck a bit. Yeah.
I'm just going to make a note of these, Bruno, because when we do your personal development plan a little bit later on the session, these are all things that we can use to put down for that, and what we're going to do to facilitate progress in those areas as well.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Okay. On this one, I'm going to put 4. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So the next ones are all going to be things that you do a lot every day within your job role, I suspect. So you're going to do a lot of communication, constant. There's probably a constant flow of communication for you. So you communicating with people verbally, face to face. You're probably sending emails, doing reports, report like health and safety audits, weekly, monthly. Like working with the toolbox talks that's going to be written down. There might be memos from Bidvest or from your site. So there's lots of different forms of communication. So verbal, you might use radios as well.
Not too often.
But not too much? Okay.
No, it's more mobile and this kind of things.
Okay. You've probably used digital communication as well. So messaging, you might have a WhatsApp group with your manager. So there's a constant flow of communication all the time.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put 5.
Okay.
In both of them.
Yeah.
It's only because I always think that we always have something to improve.
Okay, how good are you at communicating non-verbal? Okay, so this is more kind of body language and this kind of thing.
I'm quite expressive.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to people and faces, this kind of thing. I don't know if it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's try too hard to hide if someone says something and I don't think we should do it.
That's it. Your thing in terms of communication, I think non-verbal communication can sometimes be stronger, or it can certainly back up or give more context to what we're trying to say. For example, if people gesticulate a lot with their hands and they're smiling and making eye contact and things like that, it can kind of back up, and it lends itself so people understand what we're trying to say a little bit more. Whereas if you get someone who literally just sits there and
it's going to be weird.
They're just like, are they listening, or
what's
their reaction? Do they understand what I'm saying? Or so yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing.
Okay, I'm gonna put 6 on this one.
Yeah. Okay, so how good are you communicating formally? So probably more formal discussions with managers.
I think it's something that I need to pay more attention and really improve. And I think that's one of the problems that I have with big groups, because I don't feel confident to be that formal.
Okay.
Also, I think if it's something that I got some improve, I will be more confident talking in big groups and these kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay, this one I'm gonna put 3 actually.
Okay.
And this one 6. Because this one I take more like for my staff.
Yeah.
That I can talk normally and this kind of things.
Yeah. I think that's normal, Bruno, as well, isn't it? Because I think whenever we feel more comfortable around people that we know, it's easier to kind of communicate and understand, what each other are trying to say.
Yeah.
Whereas particularly if we meet someone in a formal setting, if you meet like a higher manager, like for the first time, and it's like we've you haven't met them before, you don't know how they like to communicate. You don't know how they like to do things. They don't know how you like to do things, and it's kind of, you need to kind of work each other out a little bit. So it's formal's fine, but it's definitely more, I think you're definitely more comfortable with people that you can trust, that you know already. And
yeah.
Okay, how good are you communicating conversationally?
Okay, this one I'm gonna put in general.
Pretty good.
So yeah, I'm gonna put 5 just because of the formal way and the informal. So it's just to put like a
okay,
medium way.
Okay, so our next section is organizational skills. So how good are you at research abilities? So if you don't know the answer to something, how good are you at kind of finding that out and applying it practically?
That's a good question. I'm just trying to think something that happened and I had to do it, you know. In work especially. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I never paid attention to this.
So research abilities. So whenever you maybe think about an example outside of work, if you don't know the answer to something, you're probably likely to, most people will now Google it.
Yeah, straight away.
To find out a little bit more about, you know, what is that, you know, what is that and what it's about, and people then start to relate to it to themselves. You know, would that be something I'm interested in, or you know, how do I do it, and how do they go about it, and you know, is that relevant? How does it apply to me?
Yeah, I'm going to put 5 on this one.
So in terms of research abilities, I guess it comes back to kind of how resourceful you are regarding finding out new information.
But when I need it, I can find pretty much everything that I need. Maybe not that fast, but I basically find everything that I need. So
yeah. So I'd say probably relatively high. I'd say probably at least a 5 or a 6.
yeah, I'm gonna put 5 in this one.
Because that goes back to the analytical questions as well. So the chances are so for someone with your personality or character, Bruno, you're probably likely to look into it a little bit more, find out as much as you can about something to make a more informed decision, rather than just read one thing and then make a split decision. Okay. Next one is, how good are you at planning?
I'm gonna put 6 on this one.
Yeah. Okay. So this next one, Bruno, as well. So this is a really good question, and this is something we're going to cover a little bit more about. So how good is your time management? So what's your understanding of time management, Bruno?
When I said this, I think it's more, the first thing that came to my mind is planning.
Yeah.
So I do try to plan as much as I can for my day, for the next day, so I don't get lost in my day, so I don't waste time doing it something. So
that's it. So generally, so techniques you might use, people have to-do lists or tasks lists, or generally in your job, you probably go in every day knowing that there's kind of a schedule of tasks that you need to do every day. So that's an audit or a performance review with staff, or generally you'll plan your diary throughout the day. So at any given time, you know that between kind of like we've done today, between 10 and 12, we've got the session today. And then you might then take lunch, and then after lunch you'll then have another meeting, or you'll have sessions with staff, or you'll need to do this. So effectively that takes on board all the time management. So it's how you schedule your day. But also that then goes beyond that, or it can be extended to how you schedule other people's days as well. Do you need to schedule in time management for staff to plan their days? Some people aren't struggle with organisation and planning. So what's the best way to go about that? Sometimes we prioritise activities. So we think about what's the most important thing to do, or what's the biggest task that we need to get done first. And a lot of people will do that first. The first thing they do in the day is plan their biggest task or their most important task. So they know that they're going to get it done. And they might leave kind of smaller tasks or tasks that may not be as important until the end of the day. Because then if they get to those tasks, then great, and they'll get them done. But if they don't,
if not,
then it can either be rescheduled for later on, or, for example, it might be something that you can delegate to somebody in a handover coming on to night shift, for example. So you're effectively just prioritizing and using time management to schedule your tasks, to prioritize activities, maybe for yourself, maybe for people within your team. And you're using mechanisms to help you with that. So mechanisms are just like to-do lists. And where the time part of that management comes in is you understand kind of how long a task is going to take you, so you can schedule it in. And again, you can use different mechanisms for that, like to-do lists or diaries or planning, or whatever that might be. So a theory, and we'll go through this in a little bit, Bruno.
Okay.
But whilst we're talking about it, there's a really funny sounding theory called "Eat That Frog."
Yeah.
It's and it's a prioritization technique. So it's called "Eat That Frog," A, B, C, D, E.
Okay.
And it's basically, it works on the notion that if you knew every day that you needed to eat a frog, and it sounds really weird.
Yeah.
If you knew every day that you needed to eat a frog, you would make it the first task of the day, because you would get it out the way first.
Yeah.
And you know that would be the toughest task of the day. So you wouldn't leave it till the end. You'd get it out the way, so you knew that was the hardest task that you were going to do that day. And
it's usually what I do, to be honest, because I think it's easier, It's like you said, we do the hardest one at the beginning of the day, and
that's
you're
it.
free.
And then you'll have tasks that will be considered kind of A and B tasks. So important tasks that you need to get done, like weekly or monthly audits, performance reviews, meetings with managers, things like that. You'll then have kind of C or D type tasks, which are kind of important, and you need to get them done. They might be tasks that you delegate out to other people, and then you'll have kind of E and F type tasks, which are kind of, if you get them done, then great, but if you don't, then that's okay.
You can leave for tomorrow. Yeah.
You can leave them for tomorrow, or you can delegate them to someone else. Or frankly, if they don't get done at all, then it's not going to affect your business. It's not going to affect your day. So it just breaks down effectively how we see tasks and how they're important and how we time manage them.
Okay.
It's just a prioritization technique. And I know it sounds really funny, like it's quite an odd explanation. It's quite an odd way of explaining it, but
yeah, to be honest, I never heard of the expression. I never heard of.
Yeah, it's funny. It's from a writer called Mark Twain. But yeah, we'll come across it on the course a little bit later on. But that's what it means basically. So it's the principle that we try and get we prioritize our tasks in order of importance and time manage them effectively. Okay. So how's your time management? So pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to put 6 on this one.
Okay. How good are you at multitasking?
Okay, I try to avoid this as much as I can.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that I'm doing the right thing doing one task.
Yeah.
But I can do it multi anyway, so I'm going to put 5 on this one.
I always
6.
Bruno, I always think when asking this question, how good are you at multitasking? I always think what mark my wife would give me for this.
Probably 1.
Yeah.
My one's gonna be the same, or probably 0.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. Right. Next would be how creative are you?
Put 4, because I have some ideas, but sometimes I feel like I have a block on it, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna put 4.
And that can mean different things, Bruno, as well. So being creative. So obviously you're quite creatively minded with your photography. So you like being creative from that side of things. Being creative might be the response to finding a solution to something.
Yeah.
So, for example, particularly the last 2 years, for example, during the pandemic, you might have had times where you might have had 1 or 2 members of staff calling sick on the same day, and you've had to manage that and think, well, how am I going to manage the staff? Because all these tasks for the needs of the business still need to get done. So how are we going to manage that? So you might have to delegate or get creative with a rota, or you might need to jump in and do some tasks yourself, and things like that. So sometimes it's being creative in terms of finding solutions for things as well.
Cool. Okay, if I say like that, I would put at least a 5.
Yeah.
This one, I'm gonna put 6 because I'm quite curious about IT. So
Okay. Okay, teamwork. Okay, so this will be an interesting section, Bruno, because regarding our conversation we had a little bit earlier about your management style, the chances are you'll probably score quite well in this section.
Okay.
With team working, which, how you like to be involved in team working, how you involve the team in things as well.
How tactful are you? Okay, and this one, I would say a 6 on this one.
Okay. Next one, how well do you work in a team?
Okay, this one I'm gonna put 7.
Okay. And again, a little bit later on in the course, Bruno, we're going to do an assignment, or there's going to be a section on what we call team building, and building a high performance team. So it focuses a lot on team building and what's involved within that. Team roles as well. You'll know that you probably work with lots of different people with different personalities, different characters, and you think, how do these people all, how do we manage these people to make a successful team? If it was outside of work, the chances are they probably wouldn't be friends.
Yeah.
But we come together and we do the same job. So how do we link everything together, and understand that to make a successful team? So it's an interesting assignment to do. Okay. Next will be, how good are you with dealing with conflict?
Okay, of course, I think as everybody, I try to avoid as much as I can.
Yeah.
But when we have some, I try to start as soon as I can, so everybody can work together and keep working. So anyway, I'm gonna put 6 on this, 5 on this one.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always good to improve how to talk to people and how to deal with conflict when it happens.
Yeah. And sometimes that can happen, can't it? Sometimes you'll get 2 members of staff that have a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
That you'll need to kind of regulate, almost, and say, okay, you know, we understand your point of view. I think we all, it's okay to disagree as long as it's done in a constructive way.
Respect, yeah.
Yeah. How flexible are you? Adaptable?
Okay, I'm gonna put 6 on these ones. This one, I'm gonna put 5.
Okay.
For the same reason above. So it's only because it's really something that I need to improve when I have a big group of people. So I think it's good. It's 5. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. So self-awareness. So this will be kind of the first section of the course that we're going to cover over the next month.
Okay.
You know, it's going to be more self-awareness based, more managing self, these kind of things, recognizing your own strengths and weaknesses, what we can do to improve those, the understanding where you fit in within your for your job role, where you fit into the team dynamic.
Okay.
These kind of things. Understanding your learning style, your management style that we've spoken about already. Okay, so we've got how motivated are you?
Okay, I'm gonna put 7 on this one because I'm always motivated, especially to grow my company. So
okay, excellent. How well do you handle stress?
Well, of course, everybody have a limit.
Yeah.
And we have good days and bad days. I try as much as I can to keep my personal life away from the stress that I have on work when I have any stress. So I'm gonna put a 6 on this one. I'm quite calm as well. How resilient are you? I don't know.
So I always think with this question, we're probably all more resilient than what we give ourselves credit for. We've probably got a lot going on, you know, stresses of work, family at home, you know, things going on, you know, stresses, you know, dealing with stresses in the world, looking at what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment, things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's the world's a stressful place sometimes, and it's how we try and process it and get through it. You know, when we think we've also been dealing with the pandemic the last 2 years, that's been stressful for a long time.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to go outside. We had to wear masks. Things weren't normal for a long time. It was difficult for us to kind of accept that you know, we didn't have certain freedoms anymore and things. So we had to process and develop a resilience to kind of get through it because we had to. I think a lot of that's just my own personal just personal view. It's
you know, makes sense.
I think sometimes with, you know, with everything going on, you know, leading busy lives, work, family, everything going on in the world, I think it could be easy to, you know, feel quite down and what have you, but we don't. You know, we get up in the morning and we get through the day and we're happy and
that's it, and that's a point.
That's it. So actually, I think we are quite resilient.
Yeah, I'm gonna put 6 on this one.
Next one, how good are you persevering? It's a 6. How patient are you?
No, but the complaint was
you've got a 2-year-old, Bruno, so very, very patient, I would say.
It's funny because every time that I hear this word now, I don't know why I think about my daughter, you know, because you need to be extremely patient.
No.
You know, so anyway, I'm going to put 7 this one.
I'll speak with you. We'll find. Yeah. Carry on. You must have some reason.
Quite good.
No problem. Yeah, no problem.
Emotionally intelligent. But
Okay, pronto, depois vai tomar lá buscar o uniforme.
what do you mean about emotional
So emotional
intelligence?
intelligence, I think, is maybe your ability to like show empathy with people and
Okay,
how you understand how to get along with people.
I'm gonna put on this one. Self-aware. Self-aware.
Tá, o campeonato cá fora também.
Okay, can you give me an example of this one as well?
So self-aware. So you're aware of kind of what you're like as a person, how you come across, the type of person you are, like how well you know yourself, I guess.
Tá tudo.
Okay, I'm gonna put 6. Put 7. Oh, 7. This one.
There we go. And then assertive. I think that's all of them.
How assertive are you? I'm gonna put 6 on this one. Okay.
Okay, excellent. So that's the skill scan complete.
Okay.
So if you could save that, Bruno.
Is it gonna save straight to Bud, or I need to save and then?
So it will save to your laptop or computer or whatever you're using, or your memory stick or whatever, however you like to save it.
Okay, I'm gonna save this in the documents.
There we go. Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Right. Next, Bruno, we'll move on. And we're going to go to if you could go back to all activities and have a look at the activities for April.
Okay.
Okay, and if you could open up where it says session 1, e-learning, workbooks and self-study. Okay. There we go. Okay, so whenever we've got these session 1, session 2, session 3, all of the workbooks, e-learning and self-study, these are all going to be resources that we can look through in order to increase our knowledge and skills and behaviours of course materials. So these are all going to be, a lot of them will be kind of YouTube videos that we can work through.
Okay.
A lot of them will be kind of documents for us to read. My advice is whenever we look at any resources is to try and make notes as well. And really you're looking to make notes for 2 different things. How is it relevant to your job role? And can you think of any examples?
Okay. No problem.
Okay, so if we can have a look at the resources. There we go. So we've got the ones at the top there. So we can see the one we discussed a minute ago. So we've got the Eat That Frog. So the ABCDE of time management. So that's going to be a YouTube video. We can then we can move down, and you've got, so that's one I'd probably say to look at, Bruno. So you won't have to. So we can look at that one. We can also look at the emotional intelligence bit. So the Daniel Goleman emotional intelligence.
This one, yeah.
Both of those, I would say.
Okay.
Oh, so we. Sorry, Bruno. I was going to say we won't go through them now.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I just clicked to see if it was gonna take me straight to the video or the link.
Oh yeah, it will do. Yeah, so it'll either be a
Yeah.
link that you can then click on, or just go straight through to it. But
Okay.
all of these that are in blue, these are all resources that you can look at, and
Okay.
that will help you complete either an assignment or a workbook that we need to go through.
Okay.
So a lot of them will give the answers, or they'll be thought provoking, for you to think of examples of where they're relevant. Okay. We can then scroll down. So nearer the bottom, we can see that we've got a CPD log. We've got what we call a SWOT 360 analysis, and we've got a learning styles questionnaire. So if we have a look at each one of those, so if you open the CPD log first.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, now this is going to be quite similar to another document that we're also going to do that's in a slightly different section. So I just wanted to open this so we can have a look at it. So basically, a CPD log is a list of things that we feel we want to improve on and how we're going to go about it. So it's going to be part of your what we call your PDP, or your personal development plan.
Okay.
So the personal development plan is going to be things that we want to work on. The CPD log is how we're going to go about that. So for example, when you noted down an area that you wanted to improve on was presenting. So what you could write down is development need identified, presenting to management, or presenting to staff, or presenting to large groups. You could then write down CPD activity. What was the title of the activity? So you could say, I looked at resources, or I looked at course resources of how to present to large groups and how to learn techniques of how to do that. And then you then note down the date, hours, how long it took you, what have you learned from this, impact on performance, how are you going to use it going forward. So it's basically a list of things of once you know things that you'd like to improve on, it's a list of things of what you've done towards that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The next one down is a 360 SWOT analysis. Now, this is part of something that we'll be able to fill out. So it's similar to what we've just done. If you could enable editing at the top for me, Bruno. There we go. So we've got the ratings down the left-hand side. So similar to what you did before, you click on the arrow and it would be 1 to 5. So we're going to rate. We're going to rate yourself between 1 and 5 for all of these. And then as we go through them, the graphic on the right-hand side will start to populate, and you'll see like a blue graphic on that picture.
Okay.
Now, at the moment, we can see there's different tabs to this. So right down the bottom, you've got self-analysis. So actually, what I would ask you to do, Bruno, is we can fill this out now, but between now and the end of April, if you could also ask either your line manager or another member of staff to basically rate you on these as well.
Okay. Okay, the first one that you just done.
Yeah.
Do I have access online as well, or just the one that I saved on the computer?
For the skill scan.
Yeah. I mean, I saved on the computer anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
just to know.
Yeah, so you'll have access to that on here as well.
Okay.
So if you scroll to the top and then go back to all activities and then scroll down to initial session and click on the initial session and then scroll down, it should be at the bottom.
Oh, it's here. Okay.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
So that, I mean, that would just then be the template. But yeah, that's where you can find it.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Okay, so we're in, there we go. So we're in the e-learning and we're going to go through the 360 swap. That's it. So this is a feedback-based document. So if you could ask one, maybe two, Bruno, if you get the opportunity to ask two different people for feedback,
Okay.
and then you could just fill those in with them. So it should take 5 minutes, and you can add that as peer one feedback, peer two feedback, and then you'll get an overall feedback from everyone. It will kind of give a mean average of everybody's score at the end.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Right.
And once you've done that, you can then save it, and then you can either send it to me or we can upload it to Bud.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go through this now. So from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 3 good, 5 excellent. How would you rate your technical ability?
Okay, I'm gonna put 3 on this one.
Okay, and your ability to be supportive of others.
Yeah, I'm gonna put 3 on this one just because English is not my first language.
Okay.
So I'm always gonna think that I have something to improve in terms of talking and writing, these kind of things. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I'm honest.
I'll say hopefully 5 for that, Bruno. That'd be fine if you put 1 for that, wouldn't it?
I'm gonna put 4 on this one. We have a new guy, so.
Okay.
Stress. Okay.
Okay, excellent. That's it. So we've gone through that. We can see the graphic on the right hand side has started to be filled out there.
Okay.
So as I say, if you could ask 1 or 2 more people to for their feedback on the same questions or rate you on that, then we can then you can save it and upload it to Bud or send it to me, and I can upload it as well. It shouldn't take you too long.
Save this one.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Next one, Bruno, will be if we could open up the learning styles questionnaire. And again, we'll go through a few questions on this, but I think there's about 70 questions on this, so it's quite. It might take a little bit more time. So again, this will be what we'll get it started, and then this will be something that I'll ask you to complete in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so effectively, there's a list of statements. So it says that if you agree with the statement, put a tick next to it. If you disagree with the statement, put a cross next to it. What I would do to save you time, for the ones you agree with, I would just mark.
Okay.
And the ones you don't agree with, just leave.
Okay.
So, for example, you have strong beliefs about what is right and wrong, good and bad.
Well, so we mark this.
So you can either just try and fill it out, or you can just put a cross next to the box. That's it. Perfect.
Like this? Okay.
That's it. You often act without considering possible consequences. So if that's a no, then we just move on to number 3.
Oh, okay.
That's it. So you tend to solve problems by using a step-by-step approach.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Morning, Andrea. You right?
Okay. So you have a reputation for saying what you think simply and directly.
That's the word.
No.
I'd say probably not, Bruno, because you said
no.
tactical earlier on.
Yeah.
Listen, Andrea. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. So what we'll do, Bruno?
The hacker.
You could again, if you could
What
then
is
save that,
that?
and then that's something you can work through until it's finished, and then right at the bottom, it will ask you to kind of total up the numbers,
Okay.
and it will suggest what kind of learning style you have.
Okay.
So I have an email from my. Please.
Okay. We can just close this one. So
ask your teams to display behaviors.
Yeah, so that CPD log we'll actually be able to find in another document.
Okay, so
I wouldn't worry about saving that.
The vending machine.
Okay.
Okay. So what we'll do, Bruno, will be if you could fill those 3 out in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll book our next session in.
Okay.
If we go back and if we go back at that bud page, you just have a look at some of those resources as well. So all of these resources, as I say, they'll all be there to kind of enhance your learning, enhance your knowledge of subject matter, things like that. So I would say probably the important ones will be the probably the emotional intelligence.
Okay.
You can look at diversity in the workplace and learning styles.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for
you could look at the TED Talk on self-awareness. And I think there was
I wasn't sure.
There was another one at the top as well.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could just scroll up for me. Yeah, there we go. So if you can have a look at the eat that that funny one that we spoke about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so eat that frog.
So it's fine. So yours is done.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
I asked my banana to do it. They will do it as well. All it's empty at the moment. So working from home.
And this one, yeah.
Yeah, I think that one would be a good one.
Okay, diversity.
So again, depending on what the assignments are, Bruno, sometimes there'll be a lot of resources, sometimes there'll only be a few. But generally, as I said, there'll only be kind of 5-minute YouTube videos or like a document to read through. So even when there's quite a few like it, it's not going to take you that long to work through them.
Okay.
Send an email to Rebecca.
Okay, if we could then scroll to the top and go back to all activities.
From Amazon, they weren't aware because they don't do.
Then if we could click on where it says CPD PDP task 1. That's it.
As soon as I know it's something, I'll just forward.
Oh, why has it come up on? Okay.
That's the same that I have here, isn't it?
Yes, that's already attached to the other one. Okay. Okay, don't worry about that one then.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, if we go back, Bruno, back to all activities.
Okay. Thanks, Andre. Thank you.
And then scroll down again.
Okay.
So what I'll then do, so I've got a slightly different view of how these come up. So on your page where it says view, on my page it says where it says view on the box on the right. On my page it says set activity. So I can set all that. I can set all these activities for when we need to do them. So what I would say would be if you just scroll down slightly to June. And if you could open up the assignment managing self, and we'll just have a look at that quickly. Okay, so this is what a lot of the assignments will look like. So there'll just be a series of questions that we can then answer. Now, my advice will always be all of the content of the assignments will be covered in the resources and the sessions that we talk about.
Okay.
Which is why it's important to make notes when we look through the resources about why it's, why is it relevant to your job role? Can you think of any examples? So if we go to the assignment, so the first one will be, what is self-awareness? What tools can you become to become more self-aware? So that can be tools could be exercises like the SWOT analysis. So where you're gaining feedback, it might be a performance review at work. It might be a conversation with your line manager. So where it says tools, that's all it means.
Okay.
Okay. It's also got down, what is unconscious bias? What can happen when there's unconscious bias in the workplace? What is inclusivity? So inclusion. And in what ways have you promoted inclusion within your workplace? So these are all things that we're going to find within, I think, session 2.
Good.
So there'll be some things that we've been through today. So if we go down slightly to the second lot of questions, so how do you plan your daily activities? So that's something that you can probably just write the answer to. So how do you schedule them? When we were talking about time management, how do you manage your time effectively? How do you manage the time of others effectively? i.e., how do you delegate? How do you schedule? What time management tools have you used? So that could be task lists. It could be like an action by time scale. So you set somebody a task and say, I want you to get this done by Friday afternoon. And just examples of this kind of thing.
Okay.
Give an example of how you've improved your performance based on feedback received. So again, that could be like a conversation that you've had with a line manager. It could be, you could write down your self-reflection. So you could write down, based on the 360 SWOT completed, I identified kind of presenting to large groups as an area that I wanted to improve on. Therefore, I'm going to look at resources and read up on how to become better at that.
Okay.
Okay, you then got in the third section down, in what ways do you reflect on your own performance? Again, you can use 360 SWOT, feedback from staff, feedback from line managers. In in what ways and from who do you ask feedback on your performance? So again, probably staff, how am I doing with this? Am I doing this the right way? Describe how you created your own personal development plan. Where did you collect the information from, and what development activities do you require? So that's something we'll do probably in the next session.
Okay.
As well, Bruno. So if we come out of that, but basically I just wanted to show you that assignment as what it looks like and what to expect going forward.
Okay.
Some of the questions you will be able to answer straight away using examples of what you do at work. Some of them will need to know a little bit more about it. Okay. So if we go back to your bud, so you could probably, you could probably save that, but it's there anyway for you to use whenever you want.
Let me save first, because
there it is. So all of these are going to be kind of interlinked. In fact, the first 2 or 3 assignments. So after this one, we'll then do a communication assignment, and then we'll then do a team building assignment, and they're all interlinked. They all kind of link to each other. So there'll be elements of everything on all of them. Okay, so if we scroll down now, and we go to if we go to June, where it says Session 2 e-learning workbooks and self-study, and if we scroll down, there we go. So where it had those questions on unconscious bias and inclusion, you've got some resources there on what that means. It gives you examples of them. So effectively, all of the resources from Session 1 and Session 2 will enable you to answer the questions on the assignment.
Okay.
And we can talk about these as well. So a really simple example of inclusion will be making sure everybody feels involved, making sure everybody feels valued and part of the team. For example, if you're planning a staff party, Bruno, for 10 members of staff, and you invite 8 of them, but you don't invite the other 2, how's that going to make those 2 people feel?
It won't.
It's going to cause issues within the team probably.
Yeah.
So it's good to not necessarily treat everybody the same, but treat everybody fairly. And that's kind of involved with equality and diversity and inclusion and topics that we're going to cover.
Okay.
Unconscious bias might be a bias that's kind of already embedded within the company. You might not realize that you're doing it. You might, if you're delegating certain tasks to staff, for example, you might end up kind of going back to the same person to do more tasks because you know that they're competent.
They're going to do it, yeah. Because
you know that they can do it. However, another member of staff might think, oh, well, why am I not being asked to do it? And the reason for that is they're not as qualified or they're not as experienced. But to them, they might think that it's being biased, and it's particularly in today's workplace. We need to be really, really careful with this stuff as well. Like a good example of this, if you've got a lady or a female member of staff working in the building, and you've got a lady and you've got let's say you get a delivery of boxes, and the boxes are quite heavy, and you've got a female member of staff and a male member of staff that you need to ask one of them to move the boxes. The chances are subconsciously you might think, oh well, to be nice, you'll ask the male member of staff to move them because the boxes are heavy. However, the female members of staff might then think, oh, have you not asked me because I'm a woman? Do you not think I can do it? And it's like, no, I know you can do it. I'm just trying to be nice.
Try to be nice
for us. But you know how it is these days. And we need to be careful. We need to consider people's feelings and how our actions might be perceived. So it's an important you know, a bit of learning on the course of you know how things might come across. But effectively, you've got all of those resources there in session 1, Bruno, in April, and also in session 2 in June, will enable you to answer the questions in that managing self assignment.
Okay. Okay.
So what I'll probably do, I'll probably move those forward to May.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then what I'll do in terms of work that I would like you to complete, you've got that, you've got the SWOT analysis, the learning styles quiz, you've got the CPD log. So 3 or 4 things that you feel you want to improve on and what you're going to do about it. There we go. Okay, once all those bits are saved, Bruno, what I'll do will be Bruno, just remind me where your work is.
Farnborough.
Farnborough.
Yeah.
What's the name of the company?
It's Park Data Centers. It's Cody Park.
Arc Data Centers. And what's the name of the park, Bruno? Sorry.
Cody Park. CODY Park.
Cody Park.
Yeah.
Do you know the postcode for that, Bruno, as well?
Getting here. Just 1 minute.
Vamos para verificar.
So it's GU14 0LP.
GU. Oh, was it 13 or 14, Bruno?
14. 14.
Yeah.
0L Papa.
0LP was that, Bruno?
Yeah, Papa. People Papa.
0LP. Okay, no worries. Okay. Bruno, do you know your rota for the rest of April? Is it always Monday to Friday, 7 till?
Always.
Okay. What I'd like to do, Bruno, if possible, is plan another session with you for the end of April.
Okay.
Ok, não pagas assim então.
Saia 20 pounds, por exemplo.
Okay. 28th or Friday the 29th. And what time would be good for you, for yourself, Bruno? Is there a better time, mornings or afternoons? Or?
I prefer always in the morning, to be honest.
In the morning.
Yeah. Like if you can do it 10 o'clock for me, it's okay. Again.
So that's a good time, is it?
Yeah, because in between 7 to 10, I can talk to my staff. I can help them if they want to.
Yeah.
Then I have this gap of 10 to 12 to be free, you know.
Okay, 10 to 12. Okay. What I'll do, Bruno, then is I'll schedule us in another Teams meeting.
Okay.
The 29th, and then in May, what I'll look to come out and do a site visit with you.
Okay.
So I'll come out to site. So we can make that like a 10 to 12 as well. And then what I'll do within that is I'll come out. I can do an observation.
Okay.
So I can see you liaising with staff and things like that.
The site visit, if you want to come early, for me, it's okay.
Okay. So what we might do is I might come for kind of 9 o'clock then, something like that. 9,
Uh-huh.
and then observe you working with staff for half an hour, and
Okay.
then we could have our session.
Okay.
What would be really good, Bruno, if possible, is do you ever have any meetings like a toolbox? When do you do your toolbox talks, for example?
To be honest, whenever I need. I mean, I plan at least 1 toolbox in the month.
Yep.
And whichever problem that we have, I do toolbox in that week or in the next day.
Okay.
I can plan the toolbox to do a toolbox whenever you come. For me, it's okay.
Because that would be really useful.
No, it's okay.
Not only would that just become an observation then, but later on in the course, there's a section where I'll be able to map in examples of you chairing a meeting, training staff, then having a one-to-one, asking questions,
Okay.
getting constructive feedback for this kind of thing. So an observation would be good, but if I can get in an observation of you actually taking a meeting or a toolbox talk,
It's okay. I can do it.
then that would be really, really useful for me.
Yeah, no problem. I can do it.
But we can organise that in May.
Okay.
To do that. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to send you that over now, Bruno.
Okay.
Do you want me to copy in your line manager, Bruno, as well?
If you can, yeah, please.
So they're aware. Just remind me of their name, Bruno, if you could.
Paulo Cardoso.
Paolo, that's it.
Yeah.
So again, Paolo doesn't need to be present. It's more just to let him know when we're doing the meeting.
Okay.
Também preciso de uma caneta preta. Há garrafas que não têm granos. Ali, que ele deu desta cada de luz. Parte trabalhar, certo?
Okay, that should have sent Bruno. So hopefully you'll have that on email in the next few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, but generally, are you happy with everything we've done there today?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Sounds good.
We've got quite a lot done. There's been quite a lot of planning today, which has been excellent. We've gone through the skill scan, which we'll also do another one in the middle of the course, and then another at the end.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone through how to find resources on Bud, what that looks like. We've also had a look at some of the assignments you need to complete. So whenever you complete that, what we'll do is in the next session, once you've completed that work, I'll show you how to assign it and how to put it on Bud.
Okay.
Which is really, really easy.
Okay.
But I don't mind uploading it for you, so you can send it to me anytime. But I just think in the interest of going forward, and because it is straightforward to do, if you're able to do it, then that helps.
Yeah, no, it's good to know. It's good to know.
Okay. Or you would, in fact, I can show you just briefly now, Bruno, if you want to go back to your Bud page. So let's go to let's choose anything. Let's go to the initial session.
This one, yeah.
That's it. So if you click on that, now at the moment it's on it's underlined in blue, activity details.
Okay.
So it'll be the skill scan. So we need to do a skill scan. But what you can do is when you've completed that, which we've done, you can then click on next to activity details. It says submissions and messages.
Okay.
So you can click on that.
Oh, okay.
And you can just post a message saying, this is my completed skill scan, or you just write whatever it is that you've done, basically.
Okay.
And then you just browse files, find it on your memory stick on computer, and upload it and submit it. And that's it.
Pretty easy. Pretty easy.
That's it. Really, really straightforward, mate.
Okay. Okay.
I will then get a notification that you've done that, so I can then go in and mark it and check the criteria off, and it updates your profile.
Okay, good, perfect.
That's it.
Exactly.
All right then.
So you could probably do that with your skill scan.
Okay.
Because that's done.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
associated with that so if you go to initial session, you could go to submissions and actually upload the skill scan now, because we've done that. But otherwise, as I say, you're happy with everything we've done today.
Yeah, it sounds good for me.
It's been a good session.
Yeah, it's a lot of information, but
we've made a lot of progress, and to begin with, it always is kind of information overload with kind of how to do things, but the more we know now, the more
it's better for the
the more things will run smoothly going forward. So
okay.
We've booked in our next session, which is excellent. 29th. As I say, in May, what we'll then do, probably in halfway through May,
Okay.
I generally leave kind of 3 or 4 weeks in between sessions. Be the middle of May, and then I'll come out and do an observation of when you do the toolbox talks. But we'll schedule that in on the 29th.
Okay. Okay.
And then we can set more work for you to do again, and then just move through it. And this is how it will work. Just going forward, Bruno. But as I say, all the work that you'll do going forward, you can do whilst we're on shift.
Okay.
Shouldn't have to do any work at home at all. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Good session today, Bruno.
Thank you for the time.
That's okay.
And patience.
And yeah, if you've got any questions or you need any support or anything in the coming weeks, or if you've got any questions about the course, just let me know, and we'll I'm always around. You've got my number. And
I got yours. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And anything at all, just let me know, and I can help.
Thank you, Richard.
Right. Excellent. Right. Enjoy the rest of the day, Bruno.
And you, and the week, and the bank holiday.
Indeed. And I will see you soon. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Bruno. Take care, mate.
Yes. Thank you.